So hello everyone, welcome to another live stream. It's our masterclass. We're doing one map, two styles. We're going to be using this fantasy regional style here on the left, and we're going to be using the watercolor cities. I'll show you how to translate between the two different styles. And what we'll do is we'll make each city side by side instead of making the regional first and then translating over to the watercolor city style. What I'll do is I'll make the walls for both, I'll make the blocks for both side by side with each other. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to show you that the method that I use for making a city works in any style. It doesn't change when I use, whether it's fantasy regional, watercolor cities, or whatever other style I want to use to make my city. What I'll end up doing is I just follow that exact same method I always do, and I still get decent results doing it. So let's kind of go over a little bit of that here. I'll go ahead and remove this title. As you can see, I already have two sides here. I have one side with fantasy regional, the other with watercolor cities. And what I'll do first is I'll always make the city walls first. Normally I would make terrain first, but this city is going to be fairly flat. So I'm just going to make the walls of both. And something about the canvas, I've made the regional and the watercolor side two different object layers so that way I can work with them without accidentally selecting from the other side. So that's going to be helpful. I also filled the entire canvas with the add mode or with the add mode of the brush. So if I go to subtract, clear, you see that I have it there. I'm going to go fill again. So I just know that I have that. It's going to be important because I'm going to use the subtract mode to remove for our water part. So let's start first with our stamps, go into the fantasy region. I'm going to use the classic style. I actually really quite a bit like these walls right here. These are really nice. They don't have any baked in shadows into them, so that's very, very helpful. And I'm going to follow something similar to this design, but not exactly. And the way that I approach the walls is I want to have like a unique shape. Like it's okay if you have a symmetrical shape, like a full-on octagon, or if you had like a perfect circle or just a square or rectangle, that works fine. There's nothing wrong with making those more symmetrical shapes. But to make your city more interesting, I'll approach going with making instead something a little less symmetrical. I'll do something with a little bit of asymmetry to it. I think that'll look more interesting. I'm also going to probably maybe set a scale a little bit smaller here. Let's go with 90, and then I can always change the scale if I kind of run out of room. And what I'll do first is I'll create maybe like a murder hole, or not a murder hole, but some kind of vestibule-like space that acts as an entrance. And I'll just go ahead and piece together like this. And I'm going to make sure that I put a wall tower every single time I place one of these pieces here. That's going to be important. So I'll create that vestibule part, flip through here, add this one. I might have to go down just a little bit more. And what's really important when making walls is you can copy and paste elements, which I find particularly helpful. So I'll try to select these two here, copy and paste, and I can place them together. And here's kind of this vestibule space. It is a little bit big, so we'll probably just scale it down a little bit. And remember I had mentioned you can copy and paste things. Well, first, there's no diagonals that I have yet, so let's just make a couple diagonals. Let me set this up to where it's a little bit more centered, since this is going to be the entrance of the city. Put those stamps. And I have no diagonals right now. Remember I had mentioned in previous streams that contrast is super important, and I try to apply contrast in every step. What will make the city walls more interesting is if you do have contrasts. Some of the contrasts are going to be things like a more 90-degree or an 80-degree wall, 180, or you might have this diagonal wall. And adding in those contrasts between a diagonal wall and a more 90-degree wall will be really, really helpful. Just remember, copy and paste your pieces. See, I'm just going to keep copying and pasting my pieces. This way I don't have to keep doing this. I hold down my Alt key and then scroll with my mouse wheel. And so this can be time consuming, trying to go through all 9 of these stamps in the set. But when I already have the piece on the canvas available to me, it's so much easier for me to just copy and paste them. So I'll be doing that pretty much the whole time. Just copy and paste a bunch of these pieces, and as I add them, I can keep shrinking and shrinking my wall size down, and then that will help me to kind of determine the scale of the scale to use with the stamps. So I'll go ahead and kind of center this a little bit more. Let's do maybe let's maybe do this side. You can also kind of cheat, copy and paste, and do both the wall tower ending and both this one right here like this. I think that looks good. I'll go ahead and copy and paste these two pieces. There we go. That looks good. Let's go ahead and move this way a little bit. Change the scale. I don't have a diagonal facing the other way, so let's go ahead and add that. There we go. That looks good. Now I think I have all the wall pieces that are in the set. Let me make sure I have my scale right. 80. That's right. Okay. I don't know why that's at 64. That's bizarre. Are these all at different sizes? Go ahead and fix that. There we go. Place that there. Place that one there. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to also use this one. Let's maybe use a couple of these. I'll just copy and paste again. There we go. My shape's slowly kind of coming together now. I kind of like this a little bit more. Let's maybe wind it up this way a little bit. And then have another section that kind of goes up like this. And I'm just going to copy and paste all these components. That looks good. Grab another one. So kind of putting the shape is a little bit easier when you do the copying and pasting. I find that you can get a lot more done that way. What are these walls called? Let's go ahead and check real quick just so that I can find them. That way you have them. They're just called wall. But if you just type in wall, there should be a lot of different walls from the different types of packs. But it's this one right here. And it's within the classical Empire's core. See when I drag over it, this pop-up tells you what folder or what pack that it's in, what style it's in. So that way it's easy to find. It's helpful. But there is a lot of wall labeled stamps. So just keep that in mind. But it should pop up just right there, nice and easy. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and add the last bits to this. Let's go ahead and put this together. This part right here is the challenging part, is connecting them. So I'll show you my approach when I do that. So go ahead and connect these. So I think we're getting very close to the end of these walls. It looks like that one's a little too big. There we go. I noticed that I must have scaled some of them down and then some of them up a little bit. So a little bit of an error on my mistake. My side there. Okay. Getting close. There we go. Copy, paste. And it looks like we're almost there. We might have to do a little bit of finagling to get it to fit. Okay, we'll go ahead and copy, paste. This is where the challenging part comes in. You're trying to like connect these pieces. So I'll see if I can try to maybe fit these in somehow. Let's go ahead and move this back a little bit, create a little bit more space. There we go. Back this way. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this one. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Let's go use those smaller pieces. These ones right here will work perfect. This one right here. That way I can get a smaller section. Kind of the secret to get these sections to work right is when you kind of put them together like that. Let's go ahead and move this one a little bit this way. I want to make sure these line up properly. There we go. I think I'm almost there. Copy, paste again. There we go. And now our city is kind of pieced together. It's an odd looking shape. It could be because maybe there's a river on one side, or we could put a lake or something. A lot of settlements are near bodies of water. But what I like to do, sometimes what I like to do is just make the city limits first. Because sometimes what I often do is sometimes I'll make the terrain first, and then I'll kind of miscalculate how much space I need. Then I have to do all this resizing. But I'm trying a different method this time. Instead, I'm going to make the city limits first, and then that way I can kind of make the terrain underneath of that. Try that approach than my usual, which is terrain ground up. Hey, Khalid, glad that you're here, by the way. And good name, Real, glad that you're here. Thank you very much for shooting some salutations in the chat. I love to see that. Now, after I put that wall piece in, what I should do too is establish where the gates are. So if I type in gate, I can kind of place them. Since we're using the classical empires style, we should probably stick to that. So I'll go ahead and just go up one layer like this. So now we have these gate axes. This right here, this open space right here would be something like a murder box. Like basically it surrounds invaders inside of this small space, kind of creating a massacre. So this is kind of this defensive position inside of this space right here. And then also I can put some things inside of here, like maybe some structures, or like military, a stable, something that can fit inside that space. But now that I have my walls put together, and then what I'll do after I put those kind of wall pieces together is I'll try to make two sides of a wall as groups. And in this way, I can always make sure that stamps are either in front or behind of the wall, because when you're dealing with fantasy regional, you have this problem of layering. You want stamp. You always have to focus on whether stamps are laying or each other, what's in front, what's behind, what's in the foreground, what's in the background. That's a challenge that comes with the fantasy regional style. It's not nearly as evident with the fantasy battle map style, but it's something you should definitely keep in mind. And so what I'll end up generally doing is I'll select like maybe the back side of it, find a way to like select the back side, like maybe just these ones right here. Like I could select just maybe these right here, and we'll call this the back side. So I'll create group. And I notice that I'm on the wrong layer, and that's okay, because cool trick. First, let's just label this. Let's call it wall or back of wall, whichever one. Let's put wall in the front so I know it's a wall, and then wall back side. And then what you'll do is you push that back several layers so that way stamps can be in front of it. And then you'll select this next group, create group, call it wall, and then call it front side. Now you have these two sides of the wall. And so whatever I place, like a stamp, no matter what it might be, like if I go into the catalog here, I'll go ahead and choose some classical stamp. Like this, and I kind of place it. Notice that if I place a stamp right here like this, it's always in the front. If I take a stamp in the back, let's make sure to push this up a layer, my mistake. Like this. This is at layer 1, this is at layer +2, this is at layer -2. So now I can have a stamp where it's in the front of the wall and where it's behind the wall. That's going to be very helpful because you get all of these layering issues when you have all the stamps not grouped like that. So it's kind of important to kind of keep that in mind. You have those too. Hey, first time chatter. Thanks for commenting, by the way. Appreciate it. All right. I think you kind of get that concept. So now I've made those two pieces. Let's go ahead and also take those two pieces and move them to the right layer. That's easy to do. You just go right here, move to layer in the hamburger menu, select them both, go to the hamburger menu. That's that yellow square right there. Go move to layer, and I'm just going to go to regional. Now I can go and select the regional style, and then there's all of my stamps. So kind of helpful little trick there. All right, let's go ahead and put this here like this, and now I can kind of move on to the next step, which is I can make the walls for the other style. And what I'll end up doing is I'll probably use the shape tool for the outer wall. This will make it the easiest way. I'll use my pen to do that. I'm going to switch over to stamp for my stroke. And I'm going to go switch over to my different styles. So I'll go over to watercolor cities. And I'm going to use the desert packs for this because I just kind of want it to fit a little bit with this somewhat with the classical empires. So let's look for this thick desert wall. I think that will work well. We can also use the grid. If you ever struggle with making sure your lines are straighter, you don't want to have to keep clicking shift or control, whichever key it is, to make your lines straight. I'll usually just turn on the grid. I'll make sure it's set to about 40 or so. That gives me enough space to click hold. I'll go ahead and close this. And what I'll do is I'll just make a shape real quick just to see the size, to make sure the stroke is right, the shadow is right. Let's go ahead and change the stroke size, make it a little bit thicker. I really want those walls to kind of be showing. I kind of like that. That looks good. Then I can go back. I'm not going to worry about merging, and I don't need to fill anything. I'm going to turn on Snap to Grid, close this, and I kind of zoom in a little bit. I'll close this as well, so I can kind of see better. And then I can start making the shapes. Go like this. That looks good. You're just going to use the points like this. Go up a couple like this. Push my shapes up a little bit more. Oh, looks like I might have made a mistake there. I'll go back a little bit more. Let's do that one. That looks a little better. Yeah, I was running out of space right there. That happens. You gotta readjust. Here we go. Go up a couple. I'll have to readjust it a little bit, and that's okay. All right. Thank you, by the way, Maple. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Where did I leave off here? Let's go. This doesn't have to be exactly perfect, which is actually kind of helpful. Now, what about, let's take a look. It goes right about here. Let's make sure that I get this right. Got that one right. Goes down to here. Nope, I don't think I have this right. 1 second. Go straight this way. Ah, I see my mistake. Got it. Okay. Here we go. Nope, that's not right either. There we go. I think that looks... Nope, no, I got it wrong. Here we go. I think I got it close. Oh, didn't get it that time. Right, actually, you know what I'll do? I think I'll go out a little bit more this way. Maybe that'll help. I got this very cactus-looking shape. It's very interesting. Here we go. I think that looks... this is going to work for me. I'm okay with that. We'll go ahead and add that shape. And I can just scale it down a little bit so it fits a little bit more. There we go. Get the shape right. That looks good. Okay. Bring the scale down a little bit more. Actually, no, I think this looks good. We'll go with this. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I got the overall shape right, I think. And just like before, what I'll do is I'll add little wall towers to each one, each corner. Go back to my watercolor cities here and just type in desert. Let's see here. I think I'm going to use these ones, these circular ones. I think should work well. I'm going to go turn the snap to grid off. And it's on every single joint, so I'll place one there on every single one of these joints. How are we doing for time? Oh, cool. All right, we're all right. This stream might be a little bit longer, but I don't think anyone here minds if I take a little bit longer, from what I understand. Let's go put another one there in the center, I've noticed. And I think it's okay to not show that second tower right there. That's okay. Let me just kind of look everything over. Oh, yeah, we need to make that middle tower line right here like this. So I'll go across like this. There we go. That looks good. Let me just take a step back. Yep, overall that looks good. Since you can't really see the gate from this side, what I'll end up doing is using a gatehouse. Some kind of gatehouse stamp I think should work well. So let's go look at the catalog here. Here's a gate right here. Why don't we just use these two? Let me look at this one. I kind of like the circular shape, but I think I like the contrast with the little squares. So let's go with that one. So I'll put one here, represent a gatehouse on that side, and I'll flip it so it's not completely repetitive. I'll go ahead and place another piece right there. So now we have the two gates. Okay, entrances are done. That looks good. And I just select the whole thing, create group, call it wall. And the cool thing is you don't have to create two sides because remember, Fantasy Regional is the only one that has that issue. We'll go ahead and move this back or move this over to watercolor. There we go. Perfect. All right. So now that that's done, I'll go to that next part, which is I'll create, if there's any water source, I'll add that. So I'll go with the subtract mode of the land tool, bring the size down. I think what I'll do is I'll create a moat that just goes around the whole thing. And so I'll just kind of go like this, subtract all of this. We could kind of fix that curve a little bit. Now I am using a pen, and so I'll use one side with my stylus, and then I'll do the other side with my mouse, so you can see my approach. Okay, so that's with a stylus. Here's with a mouse. It's a little bit slower. It requires a little bit more control. There we go, like this. Put that moat in. The moat is going to act as kind of like your defenses. Okay, I think that looks overall okay. We'll go ahead and start with the other side here as well. Go all along the moat here. And it's okay if it's not perfect. I'm going to go ahead and use my pen just for expediency. I find that the stylus works best with these kind of things because it just goes a little bit quicker. The mouse requires steadiness. It takes time. You're doing little sections at a time. It can be a little slower. The stylus is really great for these types of things. There we go. And I'm okay if it looks a little weird like this. I can go back with a smaller brush and like make my adjustments. See how those look kind of weird? I can go back with a smaller brush size and then get a little bit more smoother like this as I go. There you go, kind of smoothing things out. Here we go, that looks better. Sometimes just have to come back to something. All right, here we go. Let's take a step back and just see what it looks like so far. I think overall these translate well. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I want to say that it's okay to have it off. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I actually am kind of okay with this setup. I'm not going to worry about making it absolutely perfect. If you are that kind of person who's like, nah, it has to be exact replica, that's totally cool with me too. I understand that. Totally reasonable. Thanks for pointing it out though, Riley Jar. I agree. I totally see it on the left side of the bottom part right here. It is totally off. I see that. Thank you. And I'm sorry I won't be doing any more fixes than that. Just going to leave it at that for now. After you've added in that water source, what I'll end up, no, that's not being uptight at all. That's just the way that you do things, Riley Jar. And that's okay, because there is no right or wrong, right? If you want it to be an exact replica, that's perfectly fine. I have no issues with that. So, but I'm glad that you pointed out, and you're not wrong. You're absolutely correct. It's totally off. So thank you. All right, so what I'll do next is I'll add in my access points. Now that I've established my water, I obviously need to have some kind of bridge. These are with, if you have whichever subscription, whether it's a studio or creator or studio, these should come with either one of those subscriptions, just to let you know. Jackfruit's handle, just in case you caught that. Thanks for mentioning it and asking in the chat there. No problem. Okay, let's go add that bridge. What I'll do is I'll go back, since I'm already in Watercolor Cities, what I'll end up doing is go to the line tool and I'll type in bridge. This will be a lot more easier than trying to like piece together pieces. So we'll go ahead and use this bridge. And I think there might be actually the desert bridge. Let's use that. That's good. I'll go across like this. And what I'll end up doing is take it down a layer. And I notice that I'm on the wrong style as well. So I'll go and fix that. Go across like this. I think the scale is a little off. See how huge the scale is? So we'll go ahead and just bring the scale down a little bit. Now we have a bridge to go across here. What I'll do is I'll copy and paste that and switch over to regional. Oh, you know what? I can use a stamp for that actually. One moment. Switch over to regional, type in bridge. And I'll figure out which is the best one to use. Let's try using this one. I think this might work well. There we go. That looks good. I'll put it underneath. It's set to regional. That's right. A little bright. Let's bring the brightness down just a little bit on it. That looks good. It's a little wide. That looks good. And I'll show you a cool little trick that I like to use with when you use your bridges, I think you'll find this helpful, is to put a clipping mask just right on top of it. So if I go into the shape tool here, go to shape, turn your stroke off, turn fill on, and then go over to clip mask, and then just put a clip mask just right on top of the bridge itself. Go put that up a layer. There you go. Now it's on top of it. Go ahead and create group, and then just place that underneath. And what you have now is you can paint on the bridge so that whatever road texture you're using, it will translate onto the bridge itself. And you can do the same thing here too with this one. You can go back over to Watercolor Cities, and if you don't like the texture that's on it, or you find the texturing to be weird, same thing. Just go back and do that same thing you just did. Just go here like this. We'll go up against here as well so that we kind of get it all. Don't want it to be completely off. I see some parts right here as well. Let's fix that. Parts right here. That looks good. Okay, I think that's good enough. Now let's go ahead and select all of that. Oops, let's go ahead and lock this. Create group. Make sure it's a layer below. And now you have that texture right there. Yeah, that's a great point. What you said there, first time chatter. It's not wrong. It's an intention, optical illusion to give the player something to investigate. That's true. Absolutely. I agree with that too. Like sometimes I'll put a well in a place that doesn't need a well next to a river, and players will be like, well, why do you have a well next to a river? Aha, good question. Why is there a well? Is that a well? Right? So definitely, I totally agree with that. That's a great comment. Thanks for pointing it out, by the way. Good, wise advice. Well said. All right, so now that I've done that, I can start maybe establishing some textures to fill in the inside of my city. I might change it as I go, but I just want to distinguish the outside of the city from the inside of the city. It's both a visual thing, and it's there to look nice. I'll go ahead and put in, let's go with, see what the best, let's use maybe this pavement right here. That's a good one. Let me just check the scale. I think that scale looks good. Whenever I'm filling in these spaces, I like to kind of like use my big brush that has a hard edge here. I just kind of paint along this edge here. Now I have this very solid color that I want to use. That looks good. And then I'll do the same thing here, but I'll use a watercolor city texture. It doesn't have to be, what I might want to do is consider, let me take a look here. Why don't we just use this brown color for right now, and we'll change it. We'll add like an alpha on top of it, but just to separate the two, we'll go ahead and have that. That looks good. And I think I missed a little spot right here with the add mode of the land tool. So let's go quickly back to add and just kind of fill in that little error that I made. Oop, I see some spots that I need to repaint. That looks good. Oop. You always have to come back a little bit. Just kind of make sure little mistakes that you made. That looks good. And depending on how you are as a person, you should fix those mistakes right away. If you get caught in the moment of what you're working on, and you forget things easily, then I recommend if you see a mistake, fix it right away. If you're really good at remembering things, then do the mistake later. Near the end when you're doing those final draft type of things. My players are pretty smart. I gotta say, they're pretty smart. They have their dumb moments, and I love it when they do because it is really fun. I find the dumb moments to be the most fun because having a really serious party requires like vulnerability and stuff with your players. So if you don't have that kind of relationship with your players, then humor is really kind of the best way to go. And I find that when my players are dumb, that's where the humor kind of comes in the most. And I think that makes the experience fun in general. Not that you can't be serious with your players, but it is hard to be serious if your players just aren't into it, they're not there. Like I said, it kind of requires a little vulnerability with your players. All right, I think overall this looks good. I've auto-saved it. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pull up my reference image here, my title image. I'm just going to look at the city and see what kind of things I want to add to it. I think what I'll do is start with the basic infrastructure stuff. And that's going to be the outside of the city, because if you have a city, you're generally going to have like farms, crops, things like this are going to be important to like sustain your population. So we'll have to create that. And what I'll do is I'll create a road first that will create access. So that way I can create little roads that branch off the main road where all the farms would be. So I'll establish some kind of texture for my road. Go to Fantasy Regional, and I can kind of pick my choice. I'm not going to use this same like pavement right here. I think I'll use a different texture, like maybe this desert yellow color. I kind of like this. We'll change the scale, because I had to bring the scale down for the stamps. So you have to logically think that you should also rescale the textures that you're going to use as well. So I'll change the scale. I'll change the size. I'm also going to change the opacity a little bit. It doesn't have to be too much. And then when you are picking your texture choice for your road, I always recommend using a lighter texture so the road pops out, right? What really looks nice is when you have roads that pop out, established road systems, and using a brighter texture for that is really helpful. And one of the best brushes, I always recommend this, is using these dirt brushes. They're very, very helpful. And I'll just go ahead and create my road system. So I'll create like maybe a little road right here. And then also you would expect maybe a road to kind of go around the whole moat itself. And then all of my farms are going to be kind of attached to this road system, right? So I'll create like a little bend right here on the road. Some of the road can be off screen. And concerning farms, and this is something that I see a lot of people say, like, oh, there's not enough farms for this city that you have. Well, this is a scaling issue. Like if you feel you don't have enough farms, the point is just to show some farms, to show that there's some infrastructure. Because in truth, if you wanted to show a farm that would realistically feed a large city, most of your map would be farm instead of city. So you just need to show the implication of farmland instead of the sprawling farmland. Because again, it would probably take up most of your city map. Your farmland would. So don't worry about creating a massive farming system around your city. Just have your city take up the majority of the map, and then just have the inference of these these farms and kind of little spaces, instead of trying to make a large farmland. The emphasis should be on the city and not on the farmland itself, just so you know. But you do want to have farmland there, basic infrastructure. It also contrasts against the larger city, right? Farmland versus a large stone city, walled city. Nice contrast, right? Country versus city. Those contrasts, every step, helpful. Let's go ahead and find some kind of texture for the road. Again, you always want to use a lighter one. I'll go back to watercolor cities. This is kind of the slower part. Let's go ahead and choose this texture, and I'll start again, painting on the land and just kind of creating my road here. And just like before, I'll create a little road that kind of goes around this. I'm not going to make it perfect to the road that I had on this side, but I am going to have it side by side so I can see it. This goes off a little bit on this side, but I think it's kind of nice that you get to see a little bit of the road on the other side there. That's kind of nice. A little trick about making your roads: don't make a perfect straight line. Notice how I have sections missing a little bit. Some sections have more opacity, some have less. These little sections like this really help to kind of give this feeling the road has been trodden on or used when you have these little sections like this. So that's really kind of a helpful trick when you're putting your roads together. Create little spaces in between your sections of your road. That's going to make it look far more unique. And again, it's contrast, right? You have these breaks in the line. And in fact, I didn't do that up here. So why don't we do that here? I'll break up some of these lines here. Just make sure they're not perfectly equidistant from each other. Like notice how this one right here is quite a bit further away from this one. These two are a little equidistant. So then next time, maybe break it up right here. Maybe break it up on these little corners right here. Maybe just one side. This side broken up, not that side. There you go. So now we have these nice roads set up. That looks good. Let's go ahead and throw in our farm locations now. What I'll do is I'll throw in the buildings first, and then I'll put all my crops around those buildings. So I'll type in classical, and then I can kind of just choose whatever building I want to act as a farm. I'll use these slum houses. I think these will work fairly well. Let's make sure that I'm back on the regional layer. Let's go ahead and check my scale. And what I'll do is for a scale is I'll check out the size of this gate, the size of this door. It's okay if the gate is really big because I want the gate to fit big carts and things. So that's okay. About this looks good, 60. I'm gonna go ahead and place one inside so I can kind of get a feel for the scale. There we go. I want to make sure that I have this set up right. That looks good. Okay, I think that looks good. All right, and what I'll generally end up doing is I'll fill up everything with blocks with residential first. Okay, because if I fill everything with residential first to make all my blocks, then I can just delete little sections and then add in my points of interest, meaning my university, my thieves guild, whatever it might be. Normally, I would have you put all your little points of interest down first, but let's try something different. Let's try putting all the residential in first, get that all out of the way, and then we can just delete certain areas so that everything fits in nice and neatly. So I'll go ahead and choose, first I'll do the slum stuff, or the farms first on the outside. I'll put, there's a nice negative space right here, so I think I'll use this, and I'll put in maybe a little two-story building right there. Actually, we'll leave the two-story buildings for the inside, so I'll put those structures there. I see a lot of space here, so why don't we put a couple out here. Again, I'm not going to use the two-story building. Let's go this one, another one like this maybe I think should look good here. And then there's a little bit of open space here, so let's put a structure there. That looks good. There's a little bit of space here, so let's go put a farm right there. Okay. Then from there, I can go ahead and use, I can start placing some of the roads that kind of offshoot towards these structures here. So we'll put some roads in like this. Let's have a road that maybe goes like this way. And then we can put our crops in like that. And we'll have a little road that kind of goes around underneath this one. And then a route that kind of connects these. There we go. That looks good. Oop, and then one more this side. All right. This looks good so far. All right, let's go ahead and now add in our crops. So I'll go to the catalog, type in crop, and if I'm correct, I need to go to Fantasy Regional. In fact, actually what I should do is put the farms over here first before I get started on that. So let's do that. My mistake. I'm gonna go ahead and type in desert. I want to make sure I do things side by side. Let's see here. Oh, I'm in the wrong style. We'll go over to Watercolor Cities. And I'm just going to use kind of maybe just singular buildings. In fact, I see these little windmills right here. These actually might work well. So let's just get my scale right. Go to Watercolor City. Okay, I just want to make sure that I get my scale right. This is set to 100. I think that's okay. All right, about 80 or so should be okay. Let's put a windmill right here. We're going to copy and paste that windmill again and put it over here. Let's see here. And the other one I think was over here. And I'm going to have it face in the general direction, the same direction. So the wind, and if the winds change, we can maybe have one facing that way as well. That looks good. And then there's another one up here. So let's go ahead and do that. Copy, paste. Flip and rotate it this way. That looks good. Same thing. I'll go ahead and create the route that goes to there. And then I'll also add those smaller buildings. Just one moment while I add those. That looks good. And let's go ahead and just use maybe these kind of smaller kind of buildings. Let me see. What would work the best ones? Looks like an apartment. I want to use something very small. Kind of represent a farm. So this one's a dome building. That doesn't seem right. I think I think I'm just going to go with these little small desert buildings. These should work fine. So I'll add some auxiliary buildings. I'm even going to have them kind of align them along the road here a little bit. Another building here. Let me just look over here and see what it looked like, just to make sure I kind of get it right. Oh, I see. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put another one right here like that. That looks good. I think I'm going to have it stay along the road. I'm kind of okay with that. And then I'll create just a couple like outbuildings. Maybe put one right there. There. And then maybe a couple right here. There we go. That looks good. One more right there. Okay. That looks good. Let's go ahead and create that road. It goes right here like this. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Oops, did I miss some road right here too? Let's get the little road there. That looks good. All right. Let's take a step back. Check my time, 3:43. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna plow through. We'll go for at least another hour probably, because I want to get this done and I don't want to do a part 3. So buckle up and let's have some fun. All right. Okay, I think we are hot to trot with the using the crop stamps now. So let's go with crop. There should be one with Fantasy Regional. Let me just double check here. I don't see any crops. What did I use in the title here? Oh, I used stamps. Cool. All right, we're going to use stamps for that. All right, cool. My mistake. We're going to go to crop. Ooh, regional style. Let's use these ones first. So we'll go ahead and kind of put these kind of vine pieces. Make sure that I'm on the right layer. Regional. Oops. There we go. Let's go ahead and place these. I'm going to fill up a lot of crop space. So I'll go ahead and kind of fill that in with as much crop as I can. There we go. Lots and lots of crops. That looks good. Same thing over here. There should be different types of crops. We could also do maybe some wheat here. So we'll go ahead and place these. Just try to fill up as much as you can. Like you're going to want a lot of crops to be placed. There we go. And then we can do maybe just for contrast, we'll have a part of the crops that's already been harvested. So I'll go put, again, that little bit of contrast there, some harvested crops. There we go. That looks good. And then let's go ahead and just let's go with a different crop for this one. Let's go with this crop field, this one right here. Just going to go ahead and place those. Yeah, that looks good. And let me just take a step back. Okay, that looks good. Crops looks good. Now, I don't, if we go into Watercolor Cities, there are these crop stamps here. We could use these stamps. We could also just use a texture as well. And I think what I would like to use is a texture instead. I think it would look a little bit more interesting if we use it that way. So we'll go to Watercolor Cities and type in crop. And as always, what I want to do is get my scale right. So I should change my scale, fit my rotation. And what I'll do is I'll have the crop, just like here in the Fantasy Regional style, it follows along the road here at that angle. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to bring my opacity up to 100% and then just start painting that crop. And don't forget to use that dirt brush. I can't tell you how important dirt brushes are. So we'll go ahead and put that on there just so I have the same crop, just like I have here. I'll paint a little bit of dark brown underneath that as well to show that it's tilled. If you want to show that a crop was just tilled, like the soil was just tilled, you use a dark brown color, right? If you want to show that it was more arid, more dried out, then you would use a lighter brown color. So just kind of a heads up there if you want to show what kind of crops, because when you just break open good soil, it's a nice dark brown color. So definitely use that. I'll go back over to this side and use a darker brown color for that regional. I would recommend a darker color. This one right here, this probably will work well. And just go ahead and right underneath the crop, go ahead and paint a little bit of brown just right underneath, just like that. There you go. And now that will separate the dirt, the untilled dirt, like the more drier dirt, and the more tilled soil. That way you can have a difference between them. That's going to look quite nicer, adding in that darker brown. Same thing with this, like a yellowish texture here. I'll probably just use either, it's kind of a bright yellow. So let me just try adding some brown to it, just kind of see how that looks when I add it. Maybe it won't look too bad. Oh, you know what? Let's not use brown for this because this has already been tilled. So what I'll end up doing here is I'll just take some of the path and just kind of go in like this. Just kind of create little paths that go into here like this. That looks a little better. And as for this, I think I'm okay with the soil being a little darker brown there. That's okay. If not, you can just always point in a little bit of the yellow in here. If you feel that you need it. That way you can kind of see the roads. Remember, you always use that brighter color so that it sticks out more. It's okay to be late, Alice. No big deal. Just glad that you're here. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it. No matter what time you get here. No big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and paint in the other crops for the other watercolor city section. Crop here. I think this yellow... This is this yellow crop. Let's go with that. I think I'm also going to just change the saturation on this to make it a little bit more brighter. I'll change the hue to kind of get a little bit more of a yellowish color, bring the brightness up. That should work to kind of get that color. And just like before, I'll rotate it so that it kind of matches going in that direction. Don't forget to use your dirt brush. It's going to be helpful. And just right or in the negative spaces where there's no crop or road, just go ahead and paint in that crop. Now I have this kind of nice crop here. That looks good. And I think the other one is here's another hay one. Let's bring the scale down a little bit, and then we'll paint that one on this side right here like this. There we go. Okay, so now we have some crop there. Let's also just paint a little bit here. I'll paint a little bit here as well. That's good. Okay, we're getting there. There we go. Let me just take a step back. Yep, that looks good. Oh yeah, what was the other crop over here on this side? You know what? Let's just stick with that same brown texture that we were using before. And this time I think I'll rotate it to go maybe this way. Let's try that to see what it looks like. You know, I think I like the continuity of it all going in the same direction right here. So I think that should just look nice. Place that crop there. There we go. Let me just take a step back. Yeah, this looks good. So far, so good. All right. Yeah, this is looking good. Where are we at for time? Yeah, that took an hour just to do those things. That's no big deal. Let's go ahead and get into the interior part. I mean, I think what I'll do is actually just add a couple trees, and I think I'll line my crops a little bit. Something that I like to do, add a little bit of details, is to like line your roads or crops with some bushes. I think what I'll do is I won't do it for the fantasy regional style because I'm not sure if it will look good or not. Let's do fantasy regional. Let me just type in bush here real quick. We could use this larger dry bush. That could work. Let me make sure it's set to regional. And I could just line crops. Sometimes you can line your crops with a stamp, and that helps to create like this little frame. And I think that can look really nice when you do it right. So let me just take a step back so you can see the difference when I start to frame the road. The road starts to pop out a little bit more. Watch. So I'll just start adding this. And the trick to this is not to do this, a straight line like that. Just like with the roads, you just do little patches of those bushes, right? You don't do the full on straight line. You break it up a little bit. so that way it looks a little bit more natural, right? There we go. So I'm just going to line each one of these, this whole road with some of these bushes here, and then we'll get to the interior, the city part. As with any city, it takes time. Since we're making 2 variations of the same one, it's going to take extra long. And that is okay. You should know that there isn't really a method that makes making cities, at least with Inkarnate, ridiculously fast. You know, like you can speed up the process where you can make them quicker, but doing them like within just an hour or less is going to be pretty hard to do without some kind of generation tool. But I honestly like the process of building the city. It's time consuming, but it's actually helps you with a lot of things like setting up city layouts, doing all kinds of things. I find just city building to be kind of relaxing. It takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth it, especially when you get those good results. Okay, bushes on that side. Let's go back to watercolor cities. I'm gonna do that exact same thing. This time I'll use maybe a desert bush, trying to stay within the same types of stamps. So I'll type in desert again, and I should get these desert bush right here. That's perfect. Make sure my scale is set right. How big is it in comparison? That's perfect, okay. And then I'll just go ahead and place them. Remember, just like before, just start lining them up along your crops. There we go. Great little way to kind of frame stuff. And I'll also just do it along the road because I feel like it just looks good when you have them along the road. This might be a little bit of a light green. Probably would have preferred a darker green. Let me take a step back. Do they still highlight the space? Yeah, they still highlight it a little bit. They're just a little too light. I would have preferred maybe to use the darker variations of this bush because they're going to pop out more, but I think this is fine. I can also bring the scale up on them. It might be a little small, and that's okay. We can just change the scale. There we go. Oh, yeah, let's also get along these crops as well. In fact, I think I will resize them. They're a little on the small side, so let's go ahead and just select all from the set and just bring the scale up a little bit. There we go. Those stick out a lot more. That looks a lot better. Okay, cool. All right, and then I can go ahead and just add the last remaining ones. Oh, oopsie, I got scale wrong there. Here we go, that looks good. They look a little bigger than, but that's okay. Go ahead and add those crops there. Oop, all along this one. Okay, cool. And then I also like to add a tree here and there. And you don't have to add very many because most trees would be cut down, obviously, for creating room, excuse me, for farmland, but it's always good to throw in a tree or two, like a little cluster of them. Like I can put like a little tree, like just right there. Make sure it's on the right layer too. Go up a layer. Make sure it's not blocking the windmill itself. So a tree there. I can put a couple trees maybe along here. Use a couple of smaller ones. This one, and I think I like this one right here, so I'll put it right there. Maybe put a little tree right here. Oops, wrong layer. Same thing. There's a little space right here. Let's put another tree set up right here. There we go. That looks good. We just see they're not equidistant from each other. Okay, that's good. The big deal. Don't want those trees to be ridiculously equidistant to each other. You want them to look a little bit more natural. So I'll kind of place some there. Place another one right there. Maybe one on that corner would look good. Let me just take a step back. Yeah, we could probably put one more, maybe like right here somewhere along that edge. I think that looks good. Okay, and I need to do that same thing over to here. I'll throw in a couple trees from the fantasy regional style. We'll stick with the same style here. So I'll put a tree there. That looks good. Fits right in that little spot there. A tree fits in that little spot there. I'm not going to have them be exactly to where the trees are on here. I think it's okay to have them be different. I think that makes it look more interesting. So I'll add a couple trees there. Put one on the corner right here. Maybe a couple like right here. And then I won't put any in front of the gatehouse there. Maybe just one on that corner. And I think that should look good. All right. Okay. We'll let this auto save. And then we're going to get into the second part, which is we've done the basic infrastructure. So part one. So then this next part, we're going to go ahead and start putting the city part together. Normally, I usually do like a point of interest first. Like I'll put down a university and then build all the infrastructure around that. And I think what I'll end up doing is build all of the infrastructure parts or all the residents first, and then I'll just delete sections and add in. So I think we're going to try a different approach. I think it'd be a little more interesting to do it that way anyway. So I'll go back in, I'm going to type in classical, and we're going to just fill it in with as much residential as possible. And I'm going to vary between more elite residential and slum and medium, like maybe a merchant class type of thing. So I'll make sure that I set my scale right. Let me just make sure that I have the scale right. Oh, it's about 100%. These aren't going to work at 100%. So I'll probably bring them down a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll notice that there are kind of three distinct sections of my city. I've got this section right here. I've got a little section right here. And I've got a section right here. And so I think what I'll do is I'll have like my slums kind of be in this section right here. And then I'll put some like merchant right in this section, and I'll have my elite be in the back here. And when I start, I'll start with like my biggest buildings first. I'll make sure I'm on layer 0, so that way one up in front, one in the back, or in front of the wall, behind the wall. Remember that trick, it's important. And then I'll just go ahead and place these in here. I'll even bring the scale down so we can fit even more room. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to fill it in with these type of stamps right here. This one, I just realized this back part right here, it's not going to show the back part like this. So that might be slightly problematic. I might have to go down a layer like this and then not overlap. So this is where you do get some issues. But it's not a big problem because all I can do is just push this behind the wall and then just not have stamps overlap that. And that will be really helpful, just so you kind of know that. Go ahead and keep kind of placing a couple more. I want this elite district to kind of pop out a little bit. Push that down another layer like that. That looks good. Just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep adding in until I fill in this whole space. Okay, I think about the majority of that space. I want a little bit of negative space in there, but I think that's set up. Let's go into our more medium, these regular houses right here. So I'll kind of start placing these in here. And when I place in these smaller structures, what I'll do is I'll think about making a block with it. So I'll put maybe like 4 side by side like this to create a little block. Maybe I want to create another block. I'll put 4 side by side, or if I want, I can make it 3, 2 by 3, right? And then I go like this. So once you start adding in your pieces, think about adding in those kind of block pieces. So I'll put like maybe an L shape right here like this, and then maybe I can create another shape like this. So when you're putting your blocks together, just think about clustering a couple together to create your block, and that should help to create some negative space for your roads to form. So kind of keep that in mind. So I'll go ahead and just kind of create blocks as I go here. Just going to keep creating blocks. And now I've kind of reached a point now where I'm in the more slum type section. So now I'll switch over. And then now with this one, what I'll do with my slums is I'll probably bunch them up and make them a lot closer. So I'll just kind of like really, like I won't worry about trying to make perfect blocks. Like well-maintained blocks because of the district that I'm in. So with the slums, what I'll end up doing is just kind of really packing them in nice and tight. And of course, you don't have to have a slum if you don't want to. Maybe you don't have slums. Maybe you don't have like these kind of class conflict that you might have in your world. That's fine too, but I'm going to put it in mine. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of just really cram these pieces in like this. Really just kind of put them together. And I'm not going to worry too much about creating the negative space to create a road quite yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's just kind of put these pieces together first, and then we'll kind of make our assessment later. So I'll kind of piece those together, go back in, fill them in with a negative space. Don't forget to leave a little bit of negative room because that's going to be helpful to throw in like maybe some things like you want to fit in. Let me think for a moment here. Stuff. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. The negative space to add in things like statues, fountains, a market of some kind. The negative spaces are going to be important to you, and we'll also delete a couple spaces as well. But first, we'll kind of fit everything that we kind of fit together. Make sure everything looks right. That fits in. Oopsie, undo that. That fits into that space. Okay, that looks good. And then I'll come back to this in a little bit. What we'll do is we'll come over here, and then we'll do this next part. And I do want to maintain some continuity. I want to have maybe have these, whatever buildings I'm adding here, I'll make sure that they are diagonal, just like these ones are a little bit. So I'll go into my watercolor cities, type in desert, and then I'll look for my big blocks. So you're going to look for things kind of like, that is a guild. Where are my bigger blocks? Let's take a look here. I think I'm going to expand all assets here. Let you kind of look them over. Start with these kind of, if you're using the elite blocks, maybe start with these first. These are noble desert buildings. Start with these first. And I'm going to change the scale on them to a little bit bigger. I'm going to switch over to watercolor. I'm going to make sure my scale is right. That looks about right. I think that's about the right size. And then what I'll do is I'll just start filling in this space, and I'm rotating them this way, just like they're kind of facing that way. So that'll be important. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just kind of fill in with whatever space that you can. We'll get into trying to fit in all the little pieces, but we'll start with putting in all the elite buildings first. Let me just take a look at it over here. What did I fit? One right there, right here. Here, that's a little big. That works, that works. Just want to make sure that I get my space right. Let's close this, take a look at it. There's a little bit of space on this side, so we'll rotate this, move that over to here. There we go. Okay, now there's a little bit more space on this side. Why don't we connect these? It's a little closer together. Create that space to walk in. There we go, that looks good. I'll rotate it a little bit, this one this way. That looks good, just to break it up. Okay, I think that's much of the elite section. Then we'll go over to larger blocks, the smaller ones. We'll go to the next part in just a moment. Let's go ahead and add in these larger blocks. Small, medium block. Is this the large ones? What are my large ones? I think these ones will work just fine. Just like before, we'll rotate them. Kind of fit them into the spaces here. Let's take a step back. That fits, that tracks. And you'll notice there's a lot of negative space. We'll always, whenever you're putting your map together, you always do the large stamps first, so that this way you're doing less work. If you start with small stamps first, you have a lot of space to fill in. That's why you always do smaller or the larger stamps first before you move on to the other ones. Just kind of a heads up there. Let me see. I'm not sure if there is a kind of slum type of block that's separate from this one. We could make them a little bit darker just to distinct them. I'll go ahead and bring the brightness down on these just a little bit, and maybe change the hue just a little bit. That way we can kind of get them to be a little bit more distinct from the other ones here, and I'll try to cram these in. So I'm really just going to cram these in the best that I can. Again, don't worry about, actually, you know what, these are a little too, these are like medium size. Why don't we go with the larger ones? This way we can really kind of get the space right. So I'll bring that brightness down a little bit. There we go. Just want to make sure that these buildings are kind of distinct from the other ones. There we go, that's a little better. I'll place those in here. We'll go and place that in there. Is there a smaller one? I can put that in there. And then I'll go back to these smaller ones. And this is that step where you start filling in the negative space. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in these ones in again, but this time I'll go ahead and fill in those little tiny negative spaces. So I can fit a piece right here like that. I can fit a piece in here just like this. I can probably fit in a piece right here. Let me just check my sizes. I think that looks good there. I can fit that one in there. This is a bigger space. I could probably fit that in there. Remember, with the slum, you really want to start to pack it in there. It's okay to make them really be a little tight. That's okay. Let's go ahead and add in a couple pieces here. I'm going to use these medium-sized ones to kind of fill in this negative space that I have right here. That should fit there. Let's go and put another one right there. That fits. That looks good. Okay, so it's kind of coming together. Same thing with those elite buildings. I'll go ahead and grab the individual elite buildings and kind of fill in those spaces a little bit. I think that should fit in there. Let me make sure. Do I have an angled one that might work better? This one kind of works a little better right there. That looks good. Ooh, this one might work right here. I think that looks kind of good. Go fitting these all into spaces here. Let's go ahead and fit that one in. Flip this and fit that one in like this. There we go. Fit that one in there. There we go. That looks good. And then I'll go back. Same thing. And I'll go back to the other style as well and put in the smaller buildings. So some smaller buildings in there, smaller one right there. Wherever you can fit it, right? Put one right there. Oh, there's some nice room right there. That looks good. Oh, I see some room right there. That looks good. There we go. That looks good. And I think I'll just go ahead and then go down to even smaller sizes. Let's use these ones right here. And I can kind of fit in some of these smaller spaces just to kind of get it nice and cramped, which is what I kind of want. So I'll go ahead and place these smaller ones. And it is good to place them with a little bit of symmetry, right? Like place like a stack of 6 of them like this. I think that always looks kind of nice when you add a little bit of symmetry to the map by adding a couple of these. These could be anything from like shacks. They could be little tiny outhouses. They could be sheds. They could be all kinds of things. These little stamps, they kind of fit into these little spaces. And that makes it look really nice. Oopsie, let's go ahead and have this be like this. Fit in a couple. Oop, and I think I'll cheat a little bit and rotate and have a couple facing this way instead. There you go, a couple along here. Let me just take a step back so you can see that it's really starting to come together. You can make a city pretty quickly. There you go. We'll add a couple more here as well. And I think there's some circular ones. Why don't we also throw in those? I think that will look nice. Why don't we throw in maybe like 3 circular ones like this, a couple over here. That looks good. One right there might look good. There we go. One will fit there, there. And then I'll go back over to my fantasy regional, and I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll start fitting in little things to fit into those spaces. Go to fantasy regional, and there aren't little shacks or anything, but you do have like market kind of stuff, and the market stuff I think works really well. So we'll get the scale right, and then we'll just kind of throw in a bunch of market stuff just so I can get a little bit more color in here. looks good. Are there any other market stamps I can add? Let me just double check real quick. I see some there. Oh, here we go. There we go. So we'll throw in those markets. Where are the ones for classical? Here we go. That's perfect. I need those. Cool. All right. And so just kind of create your markets in your negative spaces. And there would be like markets kind of everywhere. You could have like a main market that might be somewhere. Like over in the elite district, you could have like this very large market over here somewhere. But normally you would have maybe just a couple markets, and don't forget to throw a couple just randos somewhere. And the markets also have a little bit of color in their stamps, which I think really, really helps to make your map kind of pop out a little bit more. Just adding a little pop of color really does a lot to a map. And so these market stamps really help to really bring out a little bit of color to your map. So that looks good. I'm kind of throwing them wherever I have space. And I think what I'll also do is throw in maybe like a fountain over here in this elite part of the district. Kind of makes sense that you would have one there, right? So I'll go ahead and place a fountain right there. That's kind of helpful. Good place to have a market. Now you have availability to water. Let's go ahead and just move a couple of these market pieces over to here. I'll have to go bring them down a layer because we had that layering issue, but no big deal. So I just go down like this. There you go. Now you have a distinct market there. That looks good. All right, same thing here. I'll go ahead and throw in a couple markets, and then we'll get to that next part, which is we'll delete some stamps, and then we'll throw in some specialty type of buildings. Remember, that's that last part. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. Let's go back over to Watercolor City, add in some market stamps, just like we did before with the other one. There we go. Watercolor Cities. I like this color. This should really help to make the color pop out a little bit. There we go. Let me just make sure that I have the scale right. 80 looks good. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a couple markets. Let me just take a look at where I placed them. I've got a couple over here. I'm not going to follow it exactly or make it perfect, so I'll just kind of throw them in some of these intersections here. Sometimes people just don't have time to do like the several days or hours to do all the city planning. So this kind of method that I'm using, I think, is one that kind of helps to kind of speed up that process. But if you like the city planning and you have the time for it, then that's not a problem either. So it really just depends on my time frame. Like, you know, obviously, if I have a commission or something, I'll plan out the whole city. If the person who hired me doesn't have a specific vision, or if I just need to make a city for a showcase, or I just want to make a map, then I'll follow this method instead without having to make it look perfect. Just kind of depends on what you're doing. City planning is ridiculously time consuming. I'm sure anyone in the chat can attest to this, that it is so time consuming. It took me just a little while to pre-plan for this stream on what kind of city to kind of make and what would be a method that would go quickly. It takes a little bit of effort. Cities are time consuming. Rome wasn't built in a day, they say, right? Okay, so I'll go ahead and add in that. See how it really added in a pop of color to it? I think that really, really, really helps to throw that. Let's also throw in that fountain. Doesn't have to be perfect. The circular one should work fairly well for that. So let's go ahead and place that like this, and then I'll place a bunch of market stamps around that. There we go. That looks good. All right. Okay. And then there's also inside of here this type of vestibule thing. So I think I'll put some kind of maybe military structure inside of there, since it is supposed to act as some type of defensive structure. So I could look for maybe some kind of stamps that act as like a fort of some kind. Like I could use these fortified stamps right here, and maybe I could make like a fortified building like right here, and then maybe another fortified building in here. And what these could represent could be things like where soldiers are being housed, They could be barracks, those kind of things. It could be an officer's quarter. This open space could be call an open arms area. That means like they can train in this place. They can mobilize troops in this space. That's what this kind of space is right here. So I'll throw something in the interior there. I could even throw in, like, if I wanted to, I could even throw in some kind of, which might be kind of cool, is throw something in the center here. Like this could be like a customs building of some kind. There we go. That looks good. I'll go with that. And I'll go in here and add the same thing. I'll add some kind of buildings to Fantasy Regional. In there, of course, you might not have the exact same stamps that you do, but it's okay. What I can do is just show maybe this broken down slum right here can act as like a barrack of some kind. I think there's also these barracks right here. It's a little big. I'm not so sure that they're going to fit in there that well, but there is a stable I think we can use. Like maybe this stable right here should work well. My on regional, I am good. Just to make sure that I push it up a layer. That looks good. I'll put some kind of structure in the center there. Why don't we make our own structure? Since it's hard to find a structure that is square like this, so I'll make my own. And this way I can kind of make it easier for myself. So I'll go ahead and just place a stamp right here like this. Have that there, and then I can put like maybe a gate or a door. Let's go ahead and just use this one right here. This should work just fine. And just to get my scale right, let me check my doors. A little big. There we go. That looks good. In fact, I'll make it a little bit bigger, so this way I can kind of maybe put multiple doors so the troops can kind of come out of this structure here. And then also, I think I'll just do some decorations and add some pillars to it. The fun part is kind of making your own stamps, making your own kind of custom buildings. That can be a lot of fun to do. So I'll go ahead and create group. And I'll go ahead and place that. Oopsie, that's rotation. All right. Yeah, I am feeling a lot better, Jared. By the way, thank you. I appreciate you mentioning it. Yep, wasn't feeling very good, and now I'm feeling better. So I, again, appreciate you mentioning it. Thank you. All right. Why don't we just place another stable over here like this, and that way we kind of have our infrastructure for our military there. That's good. Perfect. Okay, that's all set up. Okay. One thing that I also noticed is I want to maybe create some road stuff, a little more road stuff. But first, let's go ahead and delete stuff and start adding in some important locations. So I'll just kind of like delete a couple things. Like here's one in the center. I kind of like the idea of the main route leading to something important. So we'll put some kind of square or something right there. I think that would be kind of helpful. So I'll kind of move this stuff out of the way a little bit, and then we'll put something in there. I think we should also put something like right here. We could put something important right, maybe like right here. We can fit something big and important over there. Let's put something there, and let's put something there. So now you see I have these spaces where I can put in some interesting infrastructure. So I'll go back to Watercolor Cities, and then I'll type in desert, and you'll see that there are some specialty buildings that we can use. Like there's this pretty colorful one right here, this tannery. It's a decent size. Why don't we like throw in a tannery? We'll put in the tannery right there. That looks like that fits perfectly right there. There's also this like large artisan guild. I think that would look good in here somewhere. Let's put in a thieves guild. I think that should fit just nice and perfect, like maybe right there. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way, fit that there. And I'll put a little illicit like kind of market right here by the thieves guild, as you would expect, right? They're selling their goods on the market, what they've stolen. Let's go back into here, look for more specialty buildings. I see there's a large merchants guild. We could maybe fit that like maybe right here. That should fit nicely. And then also we have a fighters guild. We have a mages guild. Let's find a piece that should fit in there pretty good. That's another Merchants Guild. A university. Let me see what other ones. Oh, a Mason. That's a good one. Throw in a Mason, and I'll throw in maybe another infrastructure one. This blacksmith. Those can be kind of side by side. That might not be a bad idea to have them both. There we go. That looks good. And there's a couple more spaces here. Let's make sure to fill them in. I see a university. How big is this? Is it too big? It's a little big, but that's okay. We can probably fit it in by just putting it over here. And then I'm going to remove a couple of these stamps here. And I'm just going to make some space. Oopsie. We need to delete that. That's fine. Kind of honestly an odd choice to put a university considering that it's in a slum space. So I might not do that. The Thieves Guild actually might be a better location actually for the slum. So why don't we do that? I'll go ahead and put the Thieves Guild in the slum area. Or you can put it in the rich area if you feel that's more true to reality, okay? So we can do that. Here we go, adding that one. Okay. And then maybe I can put in a university like right here. That might not be a bad space to put it. Yeah, that seems to fit quite well, actually. I just need to move a couple pieces. Awesome. Okay, that seems to fit well. And then we have one more location right here. Let's go ahead and pick one that might work well there. Already got our Thieves Guild. We have an Adventurers Guild. Why don't we put that there? That looks good, and it should fit nicely just right there like that. Okay. Where are we at for time? 24? Sweet. This looks good. Okay, I think overall that looks good. We want to also go over to the other side and add in any specialty buildings over to the other side on the regional part. So let's go ahead and switch over to regional. And I'll start deleting a couple things. We've got a university in the corner right here. So why don't we go ahead and remove the space for that. We have a tannery over here. So let's go ahead and remove the spaces for the tannery. We also have the Thieves Guild right here in the center part. So let's go ahead and make some room for whatever we're going to use for the Thieves Guild. There's also the Adventure Guild. Let's go ahead and remove the space for that. And then we also have a space right here for the Merchants Guild. So now we've deleted those spaces, and we can go in now and add in those specialty buildings. So I'll go back to Fantasy Regional. I've already got Desert selected. Actually, I'll type in Classic. There we go. And there's a couple things. Now, you might not have every single thing that you're looking for. Like, notice that there's this kind of university right here. There might not be a university stamp that you can use. And if that's the case, that's okay. You just use a different stamp or use something else or place something else there. Like this workshop right here, we could just change the scale on that, maybe place that there, and this could kind of act as kind of part of our university. I can add another one, this little market piece right here. I'll add that like maybe like right there. Now I have those specialty buildings. As for my Thieves Guild, I can choose a couple things to act. Let's see here. There's the barracks right here. Let me just see what other buildings I have to work with. How big are the barracks? These are pretty big, but I think this might work as a Thieves Guild. So I'm just going to fit it in here and then kind of delete the stamps that don't fit right. There we go. It's a barracks, but it will have to work as a Thieves Guild. So I think that looks good. We go. Let me check the other structures. I thought I saw a barracks in here. Maybe this barracks might be a good choice to fit in like right there like that. I just need to kind of move some of these stamps out of the way. Let's delete that one. Keep that one. I'll just kind of put those ones there. That looks good. Okay, another specialty building right in here. We'll go ahead and place in a couple. One there. And then I think for that larger one, we could put like maybe an agora or something in there. Why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and place that, and then kind of remove a couple of these, and then maybe we can put a nice agora in here, right here like that. That looks good. Move that way. There we go. Now we can really kind of get a decent sized courtyard in here for this more noble area here. There we go. That looks good. That's an open space there. That looks good. Okay, dang close to done. I think what I'll do is just throw in a couple more, just a couple more market stamps into these negative spaces because there's a lot of negative space here. So I'll just kind of fill it up with a little bit of market stuff. There we go. That looks good. And what I might want to consider doing is making the roads more distinct. Right now, it looks like the entire ground is paved, and I think that looks okay. But what I think I'll do is I'll use some contrast to change things up. So what I'll use is I'll go into Fantasy Regional, and I'll use a different, maybe this dry color. Let me try a little bit. Let me see this brown color. How does this work? I think this will work. Let's go ahead and fill this in with brown, like this. Fill in the whole thing with the brown texture. And then we're going to use that rule of contrast to make the roads pop out. So I'll use that same pavement that I'm covering over underneath, on top of this texture. And what that will do is it will establish the roads better. Because what it looked like was just everything was just paved. And there was no way of deciding what part is road and what part isn't. So this will be a nice trick to kind of help us do that. So what I could do is just use this pavement one, change that scale, and then I'm also going to use that dirt brush. And I'll just go ahead and paint. Oopsie, let's go bring the opacity down. That'll be helpful. And let's go ahead and paint a little road that kind of goes around here, connects to here, and I'll just kind of paint some road here. I'll paint in the negative spaces, that lighter color, like this, just to make sure that pops out. And then I'll create a distinct, like, roads that kind of make its way into this section right here. There we go. Get some nice texture in there. Really kind of make that road really kind of pop out. There we go. And then I can kind of just fill in these negative spaces where I want road to be. So I like a little bit of road there. Maybe I want a little road going across here, into here, into here. That looks good. Yeah, let's put a little bit of road over here. This spot right here could use some. Go to here, maybe a little bit back here. Get a little bit of road there. So you're kind of getting the idea. Now the roads will pop out a little bit more. Before they kind of didn't pop out at all, but now that we've set it up this way, now that it really looks like they kind of pop out more. So very, very helpful. Remember that trick of a lighter texture against a darker texture helps to make it pop out. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to use a lighter texture with watercolor cities. I might use like maybe this cobble, this flagstone. I could use this. Let me just see what it looks like. Let's bring the opacity up a little bit. Let's make it a little bit brighter. I'll bring that brightness up. There we go. That looks a little better. Yeah, I think that looks fairly good. Let's bring the opacity down a little bit, and I'll just kind of create that road. It goes like this, and maybe I'll put a little bit of road along the wall as well. And then I'll start creating that road, right? The road goes in right here like this, connects into the university, and just kind of place where you want your roads to be. I'm not going to follow the perfect road system that I did because of the varying different stamps that I had to use, but it's dang close. And then we'll kind of create that main route that goes that way and connect this. And might even want to consider making them even brighter, because right now they're still a little dark. I mean, I think that works. I'll try maybe bring the brightness up just a little bit more, and we'll see if maybe that kind of gets it to pop out more. Oh yeah, that's better. I like that lighter color. That really helps to make it pop out more. Excellent. There we go, coming together. And then some other things that I recommend doing, and I'll paint these in the other ones as well, but is to add a little bit of greenery. Show something natural against something built. So if I take a grass texture And then I can just go ahead and just paint it in some of this, inside of some of these buildings, courtyards. So notice here that I have this green right here, little courtyard right there. Paint a little bit of green inside of there. Paint a little green inside of these little spaces here. You're really going to have what these represent is maybe like some kind of grassed garden, a courtyard, a garden courtyard of some kind, by adding in a little bit of grass in there. And I think that really helps too. Like I'll show you what it looks like when we zoom out, and you'll see how much it really helps when you're adding just a little bit of greenery to your map. See how that green now pops out. It creates a natural contrasting against the built. So always think about that. Remember, it's just kind of an ironclad rule. Always think about contrast in any step, whether it's making the walls, whether it's thinking about your defenses, the terrain, whatever it might be. All of those things need to be like on your mind when you're kind of putting it together. So I think overall, this looks pretty good. There's probably some changes that we could make to it, but I think overall we get the general idea how it kind of came together. I might want to consider maybe putting a little road that kind of connects these together. And I do like to line my road a little bit, line my wall with a little bit of this texture here, and then we'll call it good. Thanks everyone. It was a long stream today, wasn't it? Where are we at for time? 33, hour and a half. But we're able to get a lot done in that very small, pretty brief period of time. And remember, that's really the kind of the trick, right? Is if you have a method, that speeds up your process. If you're just kind of going from one thing to the other without some kind of process, then it's going to take a lot longer to make your map, right? But a process gets you one step at a time, gets you moving. So always kind of keep in mind to have a process. All right, well, I think that's it. This turned out fairly well. I think the roads stick out on here. We put together most of our farmland. There's probably some minor details that you could add to it to make it even better. But I think overall we were able to cover all the steps and to make these two as close together as we can, with some discrepancies, of course. And that's okay. I don't mind having a little bit of discrepancies there. For those of you who do, sorry about that. All right, everyone, thanks. This was a lot of fun. We also have some part twos of that farm that we did with the regional style to the battle map style, as well as that tavern. We'll make sure to schedule those for this month as well, instead of scheduling them for next month. Like next week, we'll probably do another one on Monday. And then the week after that, we'll do another one on Monday or maybe Thursday. So that way we don't have to wait a whole month period to fit in those other parts. Okay? All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I had a lot of fun. I hope you found this useful. And I will see you all on Wednesday for another masterclass. Please stay safe and healthy. And merry map making, everyone. Take it easy, okay? Bye.